Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and I am in the studio back in Mississippi. So glad to be here. My garden in central Mississippi did not get hit hard like so many folks up in North Mississippi. Folks in South Mississippi dodged a bullet this time, but hey, hurricane season's going to roll around. So, Java, wherever you are in the state, there's going to be something going on that ain't great.
Yeah, it's always, with this past storm, I was saying it's so long, it was like two worlds. Here in central and south was pretty much fine besides cold temperatures, but once you got up north, a different world.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, I was chatting with some folks on the Mississippi Gardening Facebook page, and up in Tipper County, places like that, they still got ice on the ground. And
yeah.
It's going to be like 71 here today. Anyway, it's really rough. And I know a lot of people still don't have power. A lot of folks are really concerned about their gardens, about their trees, their shrubs, what's happening, what about daffodils. But we're also thinking about what can we do this month? What can we do positive? What can we plant? What can we do to move on? And we're going to talk about that. It's a live program, so anybody wants to give us a call and chat with us, it's toll-free, 1-877-MPB-RING. And that's what we're here for. We're just here to chat in real time about real garden stuff in the Magnolia State. If you're not in Mississippi, that's okay. Sit back and relax, because a lot of our stuff is sort of applies no matter where you are. I'm going to talk a little bit about pruning today. I also have a really fun guest coming up in just a little while, talking about antique roses, hardy shrub roses, the kind that bloom all the time without a whole bunch of problems, how to root them and things like that. So, Java, let me throw out a couple of events real quick. This weekend, here in Jackson area, they're going to have the Antique Hardy Rose Pruning and Rooting Workshop. This is what my guest is going to talk about. It's going to be in downtown Jackson. Greenwood Cemetery is just a block north of the state capitol on West Street. You can see the state capitol from the cemetery. And it's always a big turnout. Bring some pruners and gloves. And, well, we'll talk about it a little bit later. But rumor has it that Eddie Smith, the host of MSU's Southern Gardener, is going to be there. Next weekend, February the 21st, 2 weekends, February the 21st, I'm going to have my annual home fruit pruning seminar. Home fruit, the types of fruits that grow well, the varieties of each type, how to plant them, how to prune them. It's a free seminar. It's going to be at Hutto's Garden Center in Jackson. I do it every year, always kind of wild. So come as you are, starts at 9. And then if you can't make it to that, the next weekend, February the 28th, my friend and cohort, Alan Owens, Dr. Alan Owens, is going to be presenting a workshop on fruit plants in Mississippi at the garden center for friends of mine called Buds and Blooms in Crystal Springs. So anyway, if you got some things you'd like to chat about that we can promote that's garden related, shoot them to us. We'll be glad to. I got plenty of stuff to talk about, but we're here to yak with you about what's going on in your garden. Let's start right off the bat by sliding over to Neshoba County. Good morning, Bill. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. And you?
So far, so good. What's up?
Okay, it's a wonderful morning out here. So I have a question about trimming mainly my fruit trees.
Uh-huh.
Usually this time of year, I'm out all bundled up cutting back my grapes and pears and apples. And I'm afraid if I go out now with the temperature at 70 is going to have a lot of sap on the ground. Should I wait and see if winter comes back?
No, as a matter of fact, this is the month of pruning. Other than blueberries and blackberries and raspberries, which bloom on what grew last year, fruit trees and things that normally get pruned just sometime this month. And I would recommend not pruning right before a hard freeze, but with the warm weather is great. There's no problem at all pruning them right now. You need to prune them. I wouldn't do it right before a hard freeze because that little tender cuts tip might get a little bit of damage, but no problem at all pruning in good weather. Sap's not going to really start rising until the trees bud out and start leafing out to pull the moisture upward. So I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess you know how I'm going to be spending part of the day today.
Yeah. This is going to be. I'm just getting over a cold, so I'm a little bit hazy, but I'm cheerful. I'm real cheerful, Bill. Anyway, appreciate your call, man.
Okay. Enjoy your program.
Thank you. Java, man, good to be back. I'm always running. It seems like I'm just always running.
Yeah, you said you had a little bit of a mishap this morning. Some of the stuff fell out of your Jeep.
I had all my stuff in a plastic bag and it fell out and I dumped my truck. And by the way, look at this little truck garden. We're going to be talking about a few things that happened in my garden. I got back to my little garden late at night. I mean, I'd been flying off. I'd been in airports and airplanes for 18, 20 hours.
It's probably where you got your little crud sickness from.
It was. And, anyway, I went around my yard with the flashlight, just see what it was like. And my garden did pretty good. But this little truck I've got right here, this is all the stuff that's in there, little succulents and things. They made it through the teens. They can take cold weather. I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to show a couple of shots from my garden, though, for any folks who might be interested. If you're on a live stream, if you're on YouTube, you can see these, or if you're at mpbonline.org, you can see them. And by the way, if you're not live, this program is archived on mpbonline.org and on YouTube. If you'll just go to Gestalt Garden, and you can see this anytime you get around to it. But this first picture is of a booglified plant.
Booglified.
Booglified. My friend Clayton Allen coined the word to describe what happens when plants just don't make it. That was such a pretty plant. I think it's a variegated flax lily. I'm not sure. But it looks like a big old monkey grass or agave. And I got back, and it just looks terrible. It looks terrible. But it's one plant. I pull it out, stick another plant in the hole. It cost about as much as a really good craft ale.
Now let me ask this question, Felder. I mean, you can look at that planting. I guess you can see it's kind of too far gone.
Yeah.
But what about those plants that, they may be too far gone, but they're not quite there?
I'm just gonna wait and see. That's what I tell people. If it's obviously dead, you can cut it off, or if you want to, you can just wait and see. Picture number 2, though, is kind of interesting. A lot of plants don't get damaged, but they get interesting winter foliage. This is my star jasmine, Confederate star jasmine. Normally has nice green leaves, going to be beautiful, really fragrant flowers in the spring. But I kind of like the way it looks with the kind of a bronzy winter color. Those leaves are going to shed just like azaleas and other evergreens after the new growth comes on. So when that new growth comes, it could be really pretty bright green with the white flowers against that burgundy. So even plants with winter foliage are interesting. And by the way, let me show you one more picture of picture number 2. I guess it's number 2. It's my truck. My truck, the big truck.
Yeah, that's picture number 2.
Yeah, picture number 2. My oregano is doing fine. The kale is doing fine. The striped monkey grass, the agave, the nandina, it's all doing fine. Not sure about that white dusty miller, but I think it'll perk back up. And that's what the truck looked like after sitting out in the street in Jackson down into the teens. It is possible to have a nice pot full of stuff that's pretty, and you can eat it when you're tired of looking at it or cook with it. Even a little birdhouse and a little frog there. So I just want to throw that out. And if I could, because we don't have any calls just right now, show picture number 4 of one of my ornamental grasses. Now, this is what really surprises people. That's what it looked like yesterday. Brown. It's supposed to be brown. It's wintertime. All those this is miscanthus. It's an ornamental grass. The leaves are brown, and I'm going to cut them back, Java, and I'm going to cut them back to a little nub, but I kind of like the way it looks right now. I just couldn't leave it alone, though. I need a little bit of color. Let's put up picture number 5. This is the same grass about 20 minutes later. You can't really tell, but I hit it with
I know what you did.
What?
You hit it with that spray paint.
Of course I did. I mean, I'm going to be cutting it off anyway, so why not spray paint it first? You know, and it wasn't the ideal color, but you get the idea. You know, some people put on mascara. I spray paint my brown grasses. It's all right. So anyway, it's all good. It's not any big deal. We've got a whole lot of stuff that's looking good. A lot of stuff's coming back. My snapdragons, and we've got plenty of opportunity to actually plant some stuff. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I would like to mention we have a guest coming in about 10 minutes or so. Going to talk about roses, what to do with them, how to root them, and just kick around some ideas. I think it's really good that now that we've got this program up to 2 hours, we've got time to actually have folks in and just sit around and do some chin wagging.
We can keep the screen door open just a little while longer.
That's right. It's going to be a pretty day outside. So, folks, we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to come back with more of the Gestalt Gardener. If you've got some things you'd like to chat about, it's toll free, 1-877-MPB ring. Really glad to talk with you about stuff. I won't try to sell anything. By the way, I'm not going to talk about it just yet, but I grew some really nice fungus while I was gone. Just a little tease. Some people have a goldfish in a goldfish bowl. I got fungus in a plastic bag. My little pet garden. Anyway, we'll be right back with more of the Gestalt Gardener here on MPB right after this. Stick with us.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Hatred destroys the one who hates. The others that you hated go on about their business. Care of us.
So the legacy of Medgar Evers is an understanding of our own humanity and of our own responsibility of seeing that in other people.
He is written out of history. He's just not included as Malcolm and Martin. To me, it's the 3 M's, and Medgar is right up there at the lead.
Everlasting, Life and Legacy of Medgar Evers. Watch now on MPB Passport. Visit mpbonline.org for more.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back to Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. A lot of fruit trees may have a little bit of damage from that freeze, especially in central North Mississippi. Of course, North Mississippi, but a lot of plants are already starting to bloom because we have some cool weather. As soon as we get cool weather, and then a warm spell comes along, plants think it's springtime. That's how they tell time. One of the things we're going to be talking about with fruit, if you think about planting some fruits in your garden, keep in mind that not all fruits do well in Mississippi. Citrus does not grow central North Mississippi. Raspberries don't do well on the coast. So you need to know what kind of fruit, but also what varieties. A lot of people don't realize that fruit trees tell time by how many chilling hours they get. That's above freezing, but below 45 refrigerator temperature. And after a certain number of chilling hours, they're going to bloom first warm day that comes along. Some need a lot of chilling hours, like cherries. They need 1,000 hours of chilling before they'll even bloom. And that won't happen in most of Mississippi. The reason cherries don't grow that well here. Some don't need many at all, and they're going to bloom really, really early, which means they're better for the coast. So chilling hours is really important. You can't just choose a fruit plant because you know the name or you've heard it before or it sounds familiar. You need to go with what grows in Mississippi. And some things that do well on the coast don't do well in North Mississippi. They bloom too early and freeze. Or those in North Mississippi may not get enough cold to bloom on the coast. So variety is important. Anyway, this is a good weekend for pruning roses, a good month to prune roses and fruit trees. But I want to throw this out. Do not prune climbing roses. Climbing roses bloom on what grew last summer and fall. Things like the real popular Peggy Martin rose, for example. She blooms on what's already out there. If you prune climbing roses now, this month, they go you flowers, Lady Banksia, things like that. So let's wait till after they get through blooming to prune them. You might want to think about sowing some lettuce seeds. I got plenty of stuff. Matter of fact, I'm going to hold this. See what this sounds like. Look at that.
You got your maracas.
I got me some maracas, some lettuce, maraca, lettuce and kale. And what I do is I mix different kinds of seeds together. Different varieties. I have green lettuce and red lettuce and curly lettuce and flat leaf lettuce. And I mix the seeds together, and I just put little pinches in pots and water them. And within a few days, they sprout, and you can have a nice, complete little salad in a pot. You can actually do 2 or 3 pots, or start one every couple of weeks so you have a continuous salad. But by mixing different kinds of leafy greens together and sow them in pots, if it gets hard freeze, really, really hard freeze, you can just drag them in. But lettuces and things like that, they like cool weather. Matter of fact, they actually get a little bit sweeter when they've had some frost. So you don't have to wait till summertime. Don't have to be the first on the block to plant your tomatoes or your peppers. But this is a really good season. The next couple of months to grow lettuces and cabbages and broccoli, cool things that like cool weather. Then we got plenty of time to do this stuff later. One of the things I'm doing this weekend, I'm not going to be really fun about it. I'm not looking forward to it, but I got a couple of water gardens. I got to clean them out. Got to drain the water out, get all that nasty gunk, those leaves that fall in it and stuff like that. It makes just a really nasty little. It's worse than mud. It's not mud. It's gunk. And clean that out. I'm going to put it in my garden because it's got nutrients in it. But it's a good time to get out and clean out your water garden when you have a nice little warm spell. Because we got plenty of stuff to keep us busy when it gets a little bit warmer. When it gets springtime, things get crazy. So anything you can do on a pretty weekend, go ahead and get it done. Cleaning out your water garden is a real chore. Same thing with your bird baths. Got a bunch of leaves in my bird baths. So those are some things we can be doing. I do have some flowers blooming. I wanted to throw out just 2. One's flower, one's not. This is a pansy. Pansies, of course, are just got happy little faces on them. They come in all different colors. But one of the things that I like is the big pansies. I put a few of them out there, but I also put a whole bunch of the real small little violas, the little purple and yellow ones. Matter of fact, I think I've got a picture of some violas. Picture number 8, I think. I think it's picture number 8. It's got some of the violas blooming in my garden. It's just like little pansies. Nope, that's not it. Picture number 5, 6, I guess. I don't know.
What color are the flowers?
There we go. There they are, right there.
Okay.
Purple and yellow and white. I got some ornamental kale in the background that did well. See the red foliage of my Nandina. But violas are really pretty. They love cold weather. They do not freeze at all. And you can put them in pots on your porch or your patio out by the mailbox, and it'll give you something to look at, something to enjoy when everything else is just kind of brown and blah. You're worried about what to do, when to do. Go ahead and put out a few little winter flowers. We still got a couple of months or so of really good viola and pansy and ornamental kale weather. So no sense in waiting for anything. Let's enjoy, gather ye rosebuds while you may, I guess. So one of the things that I did want to mention when it comes to doing things out in the garden right now, if you haven't raked your leaves on your lawn, leaves are okay on the lawn. But if you leave them out there and they pack down, the grass gets wet, it stays wet, you can end up with some diseases on there. Not just diseases, some decay, but also when the grass starts to green up towards the end of March or so, it starts to green up, that first little shoot of green, that little bit of green that comes out, what they call the spring transition, grass puts out new growth in the spring, and that jump starts all the new growth, the roots and everything. And if that first little group of leaves is shaded out, it gets off to a slow start. So it's a really good time to, you don't have to rake leaves, run the mower over them. Run the lawnmower, they break down, they crumble, and those leaf clippings actually will recycle into the lawn and feed the lawn. So if you still got leaves out there, you don't have to rake them. You can just mow them and all that. One of the things that I'm interested in doing also this week, if we get enough time, maybe next week, I'm going to go out and turn some of my dirt over. I've got some things where I'm going to plant these lettuces while they start getting started. I'm going to just take a shovel, my turning fork, I'm just going to turn the dirt over. I don't have a tiller. I'm just going to turn the dirt over in my flower beds, dig the mulch in, make it where it's ready to be planted when I get around to it. So every weekend every chance I get this nice, pretty weather, I do just a little bit of digging. Not enough to hurt my old shoulders and, not enough to really work up a sweat or anything, but just turn the dirt over, solid shovel deep, upside down, and the stuff that's on top, put it on the bottom, and within a couple of 3 weeks or so, that dirt will be what we call mellow, be really, really easy to dig from then on. So a good time to get out and do some digging.
Now, Felder, speaking of working up the dirt, I got an email that came through, and it's kind of an interesting email too. It says, Felder, you've often said to wait until soil is warm enough before planting.
Yeah.
Given the cold winter we're having, could I cover a few raised beds with black plastic, maybe just a week or so, to speed up the process?
Ooh, good question.
Well, I thought that was kind of interesting. It comes from Steve in Memphis.
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, raised beds being up above the ground like a fire ant mound, they warm up early anyway. Raised beds always get a little bit warmer than dirt around them, so that's usually not a problem. It would help to warm it up if you'll dig the dirt first, and make sure it's moist, because it's the moisture in the soil that warms up. But rather than use black plastic, which everybody just automatically assumes, use clear plastic. A couple of reasons. Black plastic, when the sun hits it, that's as deep as that heat goes. It absorbs into the and a lot of it will go into the dirt, but a lot of it will radiate out of the dirt. So black plastic, that's as far as that sun goes. If you use clear plastic, the sun will go through it. It'll heat up the dirt, almost like staying in a car with the windows rolled up, and the plastic will trap the heat. So it goes in and it heats up the soil, and then the plastic traps that heat there. So I would do that. Only drawback is it also makes it really good for weeds to come up. So, but anyway, if you'll go ahead and dig it up, till it up, get ready to plant, cover it with some clear plastic. That'll really warm it up a whole lot faster. That's a good question, though.
Yeah, I was like, I never would have thought of that. Actually, it's like baking the soil,
Yeah. Hey, speaking of baking, I've got an interesting recipe for probably one of the oldest pass-along plants on Earth. It's called friendship bread. Have you ever had friendship bread?
No.
Well, people who make bread, there used to be people who couldn't run down to the Kroger and get some, Piggly Wiggly had bread. You had to make bread at home. And they get this yeast, and they feed it the flour, put a little yeast in it, put just a little sugar in there, and that's what you bake the bread from, yeast and flour, basically. But rather than start over every time, they would keep a little batch of it to start a new batch. They'd keep a little, hold it back, but people would share that with each other. They get a start of a glob of dough, and that's called friendship bread, because you get your dough, your starter mix from other people. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's sort of like a good version of a bad joke spreads around. But anyway, friendship bread is people used to save and share their favorite yeast and flour mixtures.
Have you made friendship or have you been given some dough?
I have, and it feels a little creepy. But one of the things that maybe I shouldn't do this right now, but I'm gonna show it. When I got back, I realized, when I left back in late November, December. I didn't clean everything out like I thought. There was some milk in the refrigerator. Man, it was funky. It was nasty. It was coagulated. But also in my bread thing, I found I left a half a roll of bread. And can I show this? If you're on YouTube, you might want to avert, turn your eyes. But I've got some of the best most colorful blue-green mold I've seen in a long time. There's a white mold in there. Look at that. That's a piece of bread. Isn't it great? And I'm growing it sort of like a terrarium. Just see what kind of, fungus is not exactly a plant, but, you got plants, you got animals, you got fish. I got mold.
Please don't open that bag in that enclosed studio.
Nope. Anyway, I should do an experiment to find out what's the difference between mold on white bread versus whole wheat bread.
Well, I can tell you because my daughter Marley, she did a science experiment about mold growing on bread. It was something about bread growing mold growing on bread in different environments.
Yeah.
So, with the white bread, it has more preservatives and other things that kind of holds it back from molding.
Yeah.
And wheat bread, not so much, so it will mold faster.
Well, so great minds thinking along the same path.
Yeah.
Tell your sweetheart that I'm with her on this. And it's not a race. It's not a race. And by the way, you ought to see what you grow on a pot of chili you left in the refrigerator. Now that is freaky.
That becomes a rainbow.
Yeah. Hey, let's. I don't know if my guest is here yet or not.
Yeah, I believe she is. Let's take this break.
Let's take a little break and bring her in. The tune I chose, the cheesy tune, is in honor of our guest, who's an old garden rose expert. It's an old Loretta Lynn song called "I Beg Your Pardon, I Didn't Promise You a Rose Garden." I want to say, I beg your pardon, I didn't mean to step in your rose garden. But anyway, I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing, Java, and we've got Abram and John C., our live stream producers. And we're going to take a quick break and come back and talk about old roses. If you want to give us a call, sit back and relax. If it's about roses, that'd be great. But keep in mind, we've got another hour after this. Plenty of time to yak about what's going on in your garden. So all the folks at Mississippi Public Broadcasting, we appreciate you joining us. We'll be right back.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okay, folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. And before I introduce my guest, we've had Joan hanging on a long time from down on the coast, down in Long Beach. Joan, how are you this morning? What's up?
Hi, Felder. Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I want you to talk to us about, and I'm kind of really disgruntled about this, commercial bagged soil. I go to the box store to get some soil because it's, I don't have it too much acreage here where I can dig for soil. And in the last few years, I've seen just this product that doesn't even look like dirt.
Yeah.
It looks like mulch.
Yeah, it is.
And maybe there's okay. So what's going on?
Okay, this is a real concern everywhere. On one hand, the good ingredients and good potting soils, peat moss and things like that, they're expensive. And they have to be hauled from Canada. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with using peat in North America. I know what Monty Don says in England, all the BBC people, don't use peat because they don't have any peat over there. They've used it all up. They cook with it. But we have 400 million hectares of harvestable peat moss up in Canada, and not a problem there. Anyway, it's expensive. It's expensive to buy. It's expensive to ship. And so gardens, the people who put these together start cutting it with other products, bark, chipped up wooden pallets, all sorts of wood stuff. So the cheaper stuff is cheaper because it's got filler in it. And it's good for raised beds or containers. But if you have a small pot and you want to make it where it stays a little bit more moist, you can actually get some peat moss and add to that soil to firm it up. But peat moss, perlite, bark type, chipped wood type thing, those are the main ingredients, and the bark is cheap. It's easy to ship. It's cheap to buy. So I've used different things. Miracle Grow, for example, has some good products, but their garden mix has got more bark than their seed starting mix. So, and we've got some producers here in Mississippi too, and I probably need to interview a couple of them. But in general, open a bag. If it's got a lot of bark, it's probably not the best thing to use in potted plants, but great for raised beds. Yeah.
Well, I have I've stopped growing in the ground. I've got raised beds in the form of tubs.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I use that, but I also add a lot of, if I can get dirt, I will add that because I think it's important. The point being, we have to have inoculants. We have to have good bacteria in there in order for this whole system to work.
Yeah. Well, it helps in that case to add some compost, some local compost. It doesn't take much, just enough to inoculate. I've got a little small compost pile, and I sift out. And every time I pot something, I just throw a little handful and mix it in, and that inoculates it with all the critters that they need.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and to that point, I wanted to ask you, if I can,
sure,
time to ask you. I've heard and I watched these videos online about it, this very subject about adding the good bacteria back to your soil. What do you think about like making a yeast type inoculant or using wood ash or any of that kind of? No. Just get you some compost. Just get you some compost or dig up some good dirt under some trees and work it in.
I see all these brands of microbiology and stuff like that. It's like different brands of ketchup. Some runs fast, some run slow, but it's still ketchup. If you'll work in some really good, healthy dirt from under some trees or shrubs or some compost, that'll do it.
Okay. And just a comment, you were talking about bread. I just made up a batch of sourdough bread last night. So, that friendship bread that you talked about, that started out in the gold rush days where the people out there having no refrigeration, they would actually, bring along their little mix so that they could make bread.
Yeah, and, actually, it goes back about 4,000 years. People have always been doing that.
Oh, well, yeah. True. But in America, that's where we got it from.
Yeah. Well, great questions, and I'll get somebody. I'll get a soil expert. We have some good producers here in Mississippi. I'll get one of them on as a guest, and we'll explore this a little bit better.
Oh, I'd like that. Thank you so
Joan,
much.
you bet. Thank you. Oh, that was interesting. And we could talk about potting soils and compost and stuff like that forever, but I got a real special guest, and a friend of mine named Cecile Wardlow. Cecile, thanks for coming in today.
I'm glad to be here, Felder. Thanks for the invitation.
You're from Jackson. If it's doing with gardening, you got your fingers in it somehow. You know,
I'm trying.
Yeah, the garden club. You do a whole lot of different civic projects, but you and I, and you're a gardener too. Matter of fact, let's see if we can get a picture. Picture number 8. Let's throw picture number 8 up. I show this picture literally all over the country of your front garden. And turn around and look at that. Ain't that pretty?
Oh, wow.
You got nandinas, you've got daffodil leaves, you got azaleas and dogwoods, you got that real pretty spiky variegated agave, and you got the purple, the kind of a burgundy lower petalum, shapes and textures and colors in the wintertime. You've been gardening for a while, ain't you?
I've been gardening for a while. Well, I took the Master Gardener course the last year that you taught it. So what was that, 24 years ago?
At least been a long time ago. But you're one of the, I started to say, you're one of the Master Gardeners that actually garden. A lot of Master Gardeners do garden.
Yeah.
But you're hardcore, lady. You are hardcore. And I walk by your garden a lot. And you always have something texture or in bloom or something because you've paid attention what grows all over this part of the country. And you're too busy to coddle plants.
That's right. I stick it in the ground, and if it works, I'm thrilled. And if it doesn't, I'll put something else in its place. But I do try to have something blooming every day of the year. And I rarely pick anything. I have cats now. I can't have flowers in the house. And I'd much rather see the flowers outside.
Yeah. And like all the time, people say, oh, I can't wait till spring. Don't wait till spring.
No.
Garden, all the time. Well, the reason I wanted to have you in today, and we could talk forever about all sorts of stuff, but Cecilia, you've been curating I'm not going to say antique or heirloom, the old roses in Greenwood Cemetery downtown Jackson for quite some time.
Well, since right after you started planting them there.
Yeah, I remember thinking, this is, matter of fact, let's throw up a couple of pictures. If you're on YouTube or on live stream or MPB, you can see these pictures. Otherwise, check it out later. But picture number 9, this is the Greenwood Cemetery sign. Greenwood Cemetery was started over 200 years ago.
It's Jackson's original cemetery.
Yeah.
And we think people were buried there even before it was declared a cemetery in 1823.
Yes, yeah. But we got a bunch of governors there, Eudora Welty's there and all that. But I started going there because it's the kind of yard I'd like to have. It's not mowed all the time. It doesn't always look great sometimes, but when it mows, it's nice and clean. But there's something out there. This is an old garden park type cemetery. It's not one of these perpetual care things. There's something in bloom every month of the year out there. Daffodils, nandinas, camellias, all sorts of stuff. And I just wanted to show the entrance to it, picture number 10. This is the entry art with some of the wisterias. Look at that. Well, you don't even have to look at it. You know what it looks like.
Early March.
Yeah, just incredible. Those old, don't tell how old those wisterias are, but if you get the angle right, you can see the state capitol through it.
Absolutely.
1 block north of the state capitol. And then picture number 11, followed by picture number 12. These are some of the antique daffodils that I see out there. Look at all those. All of those are growing wild in that cemetery, different kinds of daffodils. And then picture number 12, you've got wildflowers. Just unbelievable stuff. There's something out there all the time. And you've been moving around, shifting around to get them out of the way of the mowers.
There's so many old flowers out there. I'm currently trying to plant up all the cradles, which I think maybe you had a picture of. A cradle is when the entire grave is enclosed in a stone edging, and it's basically a raised bed for each monument. And I'm trying to plant all the cradles, and there are enough flowers out there that all I have to do is divide.
Yeah.
They're irises and daylilies and daffodils and other fancy bulbs.
Hardy gladiolas. And these are old-fashioned. They're not horticultural popular things. They're durable, dependable, heirloom, solid pass-along plants.
And I find bunches of them where they have, multiplied, particularly bulbs have multiplied, and it'll be 2 feet across, a big, they've just been there undisturbed. And we have newspaper articles from the 1880s where people say they're writing to complain that their flowers have been trampled by the livestock, or that they planted something and it was stolen. And so I know.
Java. Jump in if you need to, Java.
No, I mean, these are real things.
That's where we mowed stuff a long time ago.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
Mowers.
It's funny to hear about it.
So we know that people were planting flowers in the cemetery in the 1880s.
Yeah, it used to be a lot of these old late 1700s, early 1800 gardens. They're called garden parks. And they were used as people go strolling. They had music there and all that. But one of the things that I particularly wanted to talk to you about are these roses. Let's put up picture number 13. This is just one shot in the garden with you can't see the Capitol in the background, but these are the kind of roses that are growing out there. And Cecile, y'all do a lot of spraying?
None.
No sprays?
No sprays.
How about fertilizer?
Maybe every 5 years.
Okay, what about watering?
Watering is really, really hard.
There's no hose out there.
There are 4 hydrants on 22 acres. And, if we plant roses and then we have a severe 2-month drought, I'll go out with jugs of water and water the new ones.
The new ones. I've seen you out there. And these are not your typical roses. You take 100 different roses and put them out in a cemetery and come back 20 years later, there's going to be 5 there. These are the ones that you look for. Mm-hmm. These are the ones, and they bloom, repeat bloom. They rarely have any bad diseases, because if they do, you're not going to plant it. So these are it's an experiment. It's a demonstration that there are roses in Mississippi that dead people can grow.
Absolutely.
And we started out with, I think, a half a dozen or dozen, and then I gave a lecture at the Antique Rose Emporium and brought back a truckload, and the volunteers started planting them. But how many roses have you got out there now? How many are out there?
I did a survey the last couple of weeks, and I think we have about 250 bushes that are alive right now.
How many different kinds of roses in those 250?
Oh.
About.
Jim Skipper would answer that question.
Yeah, Jim, he's
probably 40 or so, because he's found varieties that look so much like another variety. But he's an engineer, and he wants to know absolutely perfectly what variety it is.
So but you've got at least a couple of dozen different roses.
Yes.
That will grow in Mississippi with little or no care.
Absolutely.
They would do better if they had some care.
Yeah.
But these are planted just plain old dirt, no water, little mulch, little fertilizer every now and then, prune when they get too big. But let me show picture number 14. This is an example of some of the roses I picked one day in that cemetery. Java, can you see those pictures?
Yeah, no, and that's a real bouquet.
Yeah, and oddly enough, this is on a monument in your family's plot.
Yeah, the babies.
But those are so many different kinds of roses, and these are all blooming. They're fragrant. They don't have a lot of sprays. The question I have about it is, and there's some, I could show tons of pictures, my favorites, Martha Gonzalez, Mutabilis. There's some wonderful fragrant roses, but you're having a pruning demonstration tomorrow, this weekend, Saturday.
Well, we're calling it a work day, and we used to call it the Rose Pruning Day, and I'm calling it a Rose Work Day because we need some help with the basic maintenance. We want people to come out and prune and take cuttings and raise their own, but we also want them to help us with the weeding and the mulching, because we can't do 250 roses.
Yep, and you don't want to let the mowing crews get too close.
That's
with their string
so
trimmers.
We've got lots of pine straw out there. We want to weed them and put a big layer of pine straw around each rose.
It's not any hard work.
No, it's not hard work. And if we have enough volunteers, everybody will do 3 or 4 bushes, and then you can take home all the cuttings you want.
3 or 4 bushes, come on, that's not a big deal. And when you take them home, I'm gonna be there.
Yes.
I think that Eddie Smith is going to be there. I'm not sure.
I've been told that Eddie Smith is going to be there.
Eddie is the host of the Southern Garden with the Mississippi State. Wonderful guy. Fantastic daily grower himself. But we can show people how to root roses. Prune and take all the cuttings you want. How long have you been rooting roses?
Well, probably since I started working in the cemetery, about 20 years, I guess.
And it's got to be hard. People say you got to use rooting powder, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And how do you root rose? Cecile, how do you root a rose?
Well, when we first, several years ago, we started a rooting bed in the cemetery.
That's near the entrance.
At the lowest right by where the creek goes through, and so when it rained, the water all ran down there. And the dirt out there is wonderful because there's never been any heavy equipment on it.
Oh, yeah.
And they mow the grass, and the clippings go back in and nurture the soil. So we dug up a rooting bed, and for several years, when we did rose prunings, we'd just go through and not even know what anything was, just pick them up and just stick them down there, stick them in the dirt.
When you say stick them, you're talking about little cuttings.
Little cuttings, stick them in the dirt, and that would be in February. And then about the 1st of May, I'd go back with some volunteers, and we'd dig them up. And the ones that had good roots on them, we'd pot them.
Yeah, so this is not real scientific.
Not scientific.
You take cuttings about the size of a pencil or so, stick them in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be more complicated than that.
It's not more complicated. This is one that has been growing in a pot in my driveway for probably a year and a half now. And it hadn't been pruned. You can do better than that. You can do better than that, Cecile. It hadn't been pruned. It hadn't been fertilized. It got watered some. But it's got new buds down here. It's, I'll prune it, and it'll branch out. And this is one that's been there about 6 months, and I saw it, and I thought, oh, I need to throw that one out. And then I looked, it's got buds all over it.
It's going to bloom this year.
It's going to bloom.
Yeah.
So, even if it looks ugly this time of year, just let it be, and it'll come back and be beautiful.
I've got a picture. They can put this up real quick. Picture number 7. This is how I root stuff. I take pots just like you do, but I also take these little plastic little water bottles, cut the bottom of them off, throw the cap away, and stick them over there for just like a little mini greenhouse. You don't need to do that, but I may get 5% more to root than you do.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's not hard to root roses. I've got a favorite rose of mine, old green rose. I brought you some cutting. Not a pretty rose. Looks like zinnias with spider mites, but a true antique called the green rose. And you don't have any of that in the cemetery, do you?
I don't think we do.
I got some cuttings.
Oh, goody.
I'm going to bring some tomorrow. So anyway, start about what time tomorrow?
About 9 in the morning.
Okay.
It'll be a little chilly, and then it's going to warm up and be perfect.
It's going to be like in the 60s tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, it's going to be a little colder than that, Felder.
You think so?
Oh, it's not. Okay.
It's going to warm up.
So
okay.
Anyway,
the latest thing said it's going to be 71. It may not be that warm, but it's going to be.
Wear some garden shoes. Bring some gloves. Bring some pruning shears, and bring some plastic bags for cuttings.
And bring something to weed with. A trowel or a knife or whatever you like.
Yeah.
But there's honeysuckle growing in a lot of the roses.
And the ground is moist. It's not hard to pull that stuff and a little snipping and pulling. We're not talking about a lot of work. Folks can do 2 or 3 or 4 shrubs. It's not that much, but it's a lot of it spread out. Not much to do per plant.
Right.
So I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And we've got some daffodils to start blooming pretty soon.
We had daffodils. Before this last freeze, we had daffodils and camellias blooming. I think the mahonia may be the only bloom in sight right at the moment.
Yeah. Well,
and I also want to say, if you know students that need community service hours, I'll have plenty of pickup jobs that they can get community service tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'd love to have their help.
Well, Greenwood Cemetery is 1 block north of the state capitol, downtown Jackson, just half a block north of High Street. You can see the capitol from it. It's a lot of fun. It's really easy. We will show you how to root these real beautiful, fragrant gems that you can grow in your garden.
And the other thing is that we're hoping there'll be a big crowd, and there's not much parking available in the cemetery because the roads were laid out for carriages. And since the rain, the ground is wet, so I don't need people pulling off the road. So we will have a marked space on West Street that you can park right outside the fence.
We'll figure it out.
And that gate will be open, or you can park across behind the Supreme Court. But don't try to everybody drive into the cemetery.
We're running out of time, but Java says you got a question, right?
Yeah, I actually had a question come from the YouTube, and I think Mrs. Seal can help with this because it's about roses. Okay. And it says, this is from Amanda. It says, good morning. My grocery store roses sheltered in the potting shed during the freeze, and I've brought them back out into the sun. Should I prune them now? What about repotting them? I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have much time. So
grocery store roses are a little tricky because they've been grown in a greenhouse for their entire life.
Yeah.
And they may not adjust to being outside at all.
Yeah.
Come get some cuttings.
Come get some cuttings, yeah. I would say go ahead and put it in a little bit bigger pot put it outside, maybe cut it back a little bit, throw some fertilizer on it, we'll see what happens.
They're used to being babied, so
yeah, they are.
Give them some
Well,
attention.
Cecile, we could talk for hours like this, but thank you. I mean, this is spur of the moment. I just got in late Wednesday night. I called you yesterday. Please come down because this is going to be a lot of fun. Me and Eddie Smith and you and all these other folks, we're gonna get a little bit of stuff done, and we're going to show folks how to root some roses. Most of those out there were rooted from those that are out there.
That's right.
So not hard. It's like ringing a bell. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Cecile.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. Java, you know, we got an hour worth of yakking and talking when we come back. But if anybody wants to has questions about this rose thing or want to ask about roses, I'll be here for the next hour. So when we come back and talk about all of that, whatever's going on or not in your own garden. And by the way, if we put up real quick, picture number 18, this is the green rose that's in my garden. That is not a pretty plant. It looks like a
Is
little.
that a why?
That's a green rose.
Is that a rose? Why is it a rose?
That's it. That's as big. It's about the size of a zinnia. It's green with little burgundy spots on it. But that is a show enough antique. It's good for fillers in flower arrangements. You know, you want the big flowers and the spiky stuff. It's a good little filler thing. But most important, I grow it because if I don't, who will? It's like that old three-legged dog at the dog pound. Somebody needs to take that thing home. Right? You're speechless. I can tell, Java. You're speechless. Well, Cecile Wardlaw here. We'll see you in the morning. And, folks, if you stick with us, we're going to come back with another hour. We got lots of time to talk with you about what's going on in your garden. I know you've got some things going on. There's some concerns you got. There's some myths out there. People say, well, this works for me, but it really doesn't. We'll argue about stuff if you want to. But I'll be nice because that's the way I was raised. I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing here at Mississippi Public Broadcasting, Java Chapman, and all the other folks. We'll be right back. All righty, folks. Those of you who are listening on the live stream, everybody else listen to some news, and you know it's the same old stuff. We appreciate it. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but anyway, a little special thing. I want to throw this out because a lot of people have been, talking about native plants. Everybody loves native plants, and in spite it's really trendy to use native plants. But the truth is, our gardens are one of the only places on Earth where we don't care where our plants are from. We can happily grow plants from all over the world and to get along just fine. I appreciate natives. Don't get me wrong. I have magnolias and oaks and redbuds and yopon hollies and phlox and goldenrod sunflowers, all those kind of things. I'm past president of the Native Plant Society. I even have a free brochure I mail out about how to use our native plants in the landscape. It looked like just a regular yard, not a bunch of wildflowers. But most of them are not going to be happy with just natives. I mean, the truth is, we grow daylilies and camellias and daffodils, and they're all from Asia. And South America, sweet potatoes, petunias of South America, lettuce from Europe. But I wanted to just briefly mention, because February is celebrated as Black Heritage Month, I want to just do a little bit of throwing out some happy things about our gardens that celebrate the inclusivity of it all. Your garden would not be the same without a lot of the plants that come from Africa. What Southern cook can do without black-eyed peas and okra and muskmelons and carrots and watermelon? And one of the ingredients of Coca-Cola is from the koala from koala nut from West Africa. But things like periwinkle, gomphrena or bachelor button, celosia, princess feather, coxcomb, gardenias, holly ferns, society garlic, amaryllis, Gerber daisies. These are all from Africa, and they enhance our southern garden because we have a similar climate, hot and dry, not too cold. So there's a lot of plants that do well in our gardens because they're from hot, dry places like we have, whereas a lot of the plants that we try to baby from Europe and China just don't need a bunch of care. But anyway, things like indoor plants like sansevieria, snake plant, airplane plant, asparagus fern, geraniums, fiddly figs, corn plants, pencil cactus, bird of paradise. These are incredible plants that we all love and enjoy, and we just don't think about the heritage that they have from having to be brought from the continent of Africa. So these are just the ones I grow myself. They're universally enjoyed, passed around from gardener to gardener, and perhaps our often fractured communities easiest to access cultural connection and through plants. I just want to throw that out, Java.
That was very good, Felder. Now let's get back to the show.
See what?
I said that was very good, but now let's get back to the show. That was very good, but let's get back to the show.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. I'm so glad that you joined us for the second hour of the Gestalt Gardener here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Java, during the break, I was just sort of blathering on. Did any of that make it out over the airways?
Not over the airways, but it made it to YouTube.
Oh, okay, okay. If what. I'm not a technology person. I'm an old boomer, and I got all these buttons that you're pushing. I see flashing whistles and things like that, so not always sure what's going on. But one thing I do know is we're here to talk with folks about what's going on in their Mississippi garden.
There you go.
Or related. You could be in Colorado. I speak Colorado. I just got back from the Botanic Garden over there. West Coast, Pacific Northwest, New England, Florida, Europe. If you've got some things you want to talk about that's related to gardening, give us a call. It's toll free, 1-877-MPB-RING. And we got all the time in the world to just talk about it, relax. So if you want to take a deep breath, give us a call. You and I will chat about what's going on or not in your garden. There's a lot of things that people are really concerned about right now that there's not much that we can really do.
Also, if you want to, you can drop a YouTube comment on the YouTube live stream right now. I want to say good morning to Margie, Amanda, David, Timothy, Dean, and everyone else who is watching the YouTube. Got a couple YouTube comments that we can get to in a moment, but if you can't make it to the phone, you can drop your question or comment in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not prepared to talk about it today, but the pub talk that we had last week, right before I came back from my other home in England, I went out to the pub. What I do, Java, is every day when I come in, you get change. You buy stuff and you get change, and all these funny looking little coins. They're pences and tuppences and all the, just all sorts of little coins, weird shaped things, and I don't know what to do with them because I can't count in English. So what I do is I empty my pockets out, and there's a little dollar coin, and I keep those in my pocket. And all the other weird little coins, I just put them in a jar, right? And when I'm ready to come back, I got a jar full of weird-looking little things. I take it to a coin machine and pour it in, and it comes out, it counts it all, and it gives me a little slip, and it gives me cash, and I take it to the pub. That's my little reward.
You sound like you got yourself a good system there.
It is pretty good. But anyway, we sit around in this place. We talk about all sorts of stuff about, just about gardening. We talk about food, difference between tamales and pastas and, just all sorts of stuff. But one of the things that I came up with, I got to find this here. We were talking about snail poop.
I was unaware that snails poop.
I didn't either. I mean, they're saying somebody, one guy said he went out to do something in his garden. He stepped on a snail, and it felt terrible. He said it was just a terrible feeling. And being English, if you bump into somebody that say, pardon or sorry, or if you just think about getting close to somebody, sorry, they apologize. But anyway, he said he apologized for the snail stepping on it. But he was looking at it and noticed all the colors. And this is really kind of creepy, but it's public radio, it's Think Radio here at MPB. And so we looked it up, and come to find out, snails don't digest colors. So if they eat beets, their poop is red. If they eat lettuce, it's green. Snail poop comes in rainbow colors.
It's the unicorn of the garden.
That's right. Anyway, somebody said, I'd really like to see a rainbow snail poops, what it was. But anyway, I can talk on and on about that, but I just want to throw this out, that snails can't digest colors. So if you feed them, if you got pet snails, you know exactly what we're talking about. If you don't, in case you're wondering what that little rainbow streak across your patio is, that was a snail.
I got a couple YouTube comments.
Give us a call, folks. Toll free 1-877-MPB-RING. Who you got on YouTube?
Let's see. This is Magnolia 251. And it says, good morning, Felder and Java. Do you know of a good source for crab meal in bulk here on the Gulf Coast, particularly South Alabama? And my question, what is crab meal?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a good question. It's a good question. And, and I'm real good about saying I don't know. But one thing I can do, is, because we got time now, is a fertilizer. Here we go. How about that? Crab meal, it's a nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash ratio of 4:3:1. In other words, it's got a good bit of nitrogen, a good bit of phosphorus, and not much potash. But it's an organic, natural crab meal fertilizer.
Is it made of crabs? That's my question.
Yeah, apparently it is. I didn't want to. What is it? It's got all sorts of stuff. It's chitin.
Okay.
They grind up the shells. It's got chitins, which is what makes them crunchy. Insects that are crunchy, that's that chitin stuff. And it stimulates beneficial microbial activity in the soil. It improves nutrient availability, soil health, natural pest deterrent. Anyway, it's just Crab meal is stronger than manures, if you can get them, but manure would do just well. Anyway, answer your question. I don't know where you can get it. But I will say this: it is good to use locally sourced materials like that. I use cottonseed meal, which we talk about the numbers on these fertilizers, like 13, 13, 13, or 20, 20, that kind of thing. The numbers represent the amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in that soils and that fertilizer. Manure is like a 1-1-1, not much, but it's got plenty. So if you take more manure, because it's only 1% of those ingredients, than would a chemical fertilizer, it might be 30%. But I use cottonseed meal. It's the ratio is 7:2:2. It's got a good bit of nitrogen, nice, natural, slow-release, long-lasting nitrogen. Feeds plants a long, long time, much faster than commercial or chemical fertilizers. It also feeds the microbes in the soil. And it's got a little phosphorus, a little potash, which keeps your levels pretty high already. So I like cottonseed meal. It's the easiest. And it only takes 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds to 100 square feet. Now, Java, that's, it's like 10 feet by 10 feet. That's a quart jar full over 10 foot by 10 foot area. That ain't much, and that's the maximum you need. So I like natural fertilizers, but cottonseed meal, being from the Delta, it's readily available. I just don't know who has the crab meal, whether they make it on the coast, whether it's based someplace else, has to be hauled in, which means you pay for the shipping. I just don't know. Good question, though.
Yeah, coming from the coast, then it's probably somebody local, and that's what Magnolia 251 was really trying to do. But now I got another question from Starbama66. These names are always fun. My night blooming cereus has some black shoots from the freeze. I assume I should wait to cut it back.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually lost. I took a picture yesterday. When I was taking all my plants in before I went to England a couple of months ago, I missed one. I left a cactus out, and it looks terrible. It looks terrible. It's a head high one. It was a big one, but it was over by some shrubs, so I really didn't notice it. But when the succulents freeze, and they thaw back out, it just gets nasty. It's a bouglify thing. It turns dark green and then almost black. All you can do, if it's soft, if it's mushy, go ahead and cut it off. Keep cutting it till you get to something that's firm. And other than that, it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. I'm having to do a good bit of that in my garden. Folks, we got the lines open. If you want to give us a call, it's toll free, 1-877-MPB ring. It sounds like I'm a little bit arrogant today. You know why? It's because I'm just getting over a cold, and I feel like a real authoritative type of voice instead of my usual little goober, Barney Fife type voice. But anyway, if you want to give us a call, there are some things that are going on in gardens right now that people are wanting to work. Wonder what should we do? The freeze damage. I would say wait on trees and most shrubs. Let's see, when they leaf out and tell a whole lot more. But in my garden, I'm going around this weekend. I'm going to cut my ornamental grasses back. I'm going to cut down the stuff that's just real slimy, the elephant ears and the cannas and stuff. And I'm going to check my shrubs. And as long as they look okay, I'm just going to kind of wait and see. I'm not going to wait to prune anything. This is a good month to prune your roses. Cecile Wardlaw was my guest last hour. We didn't really have a chance to talk about it. But here's the deal. If it's a shrub rose, hybrid teas, grandifloras, floribundas, old garden shrub-type roses, they bloom on what comes out in the spring. So you can prune those as hard as you want. You can cut them to 1.5 foot tall if you want to. I wouldn't. A lot of these shrub roses are actually big bushes. They like to be big. Maybe cut them back 1/3 of the way. You don't have to cut everything back to 2 feet tall like you do the cut flower type roses. But February is a good month. And some people at Java say, you do it on George Washington's birthday. And other people, no, you do it on Valentine's Day. And people are hardcore about this. When do you prune these roses? The answer is sometime in the winter. February is my preferred month. And I cut them back according to what size plant they want to be. If they're big plants, I don't cut them back much. The caveat is once bloomers, some of these old roses just bloom once, and climbing roses like Lady Banks and Peggy Martin, those bloom on what's already out there. So don't prune climbing roses until after they finish blooming in the spring. Perfectly located to prune a rose in April, May, June, July, even August, and it'll put out new growth and bloom. So I would not prune climbing roses right now. So,
and it's now that you're talking about climbing roses, we did have a question from John Langston. Felder, what is the difference between a rambling rose and a climbing rose? Does one treat them the same?
Yeah, they're treated the same. A rambling roses are just crazy climbing roses. They go a rambling rose is more like my hair. It goes every which way. And ramblers tend to really go a long ways, and the root is a go. They ramble around. But a climbing rose is typically, we're parsing words here. But in general, climbing roses have thicker stems. They just have to be tied up on something to keep them from flopping over. Rambling roses branch out freely and go in every direction. Peggy Martin is really a rambling rose. But we call it a climbing rose because you have to tie it up. So
all rambling roses are climbing roses, but not all climbing roses are rambling roses.
That's there's an algebra equation along that. It's the transitive property of equations of equality. Transitive property of equality. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. That rambling climbing rose type thing. The antihistamines are making me say crazy stuff. We got a caller or not?
Yeah, let's slide. Let's slide to Pontotoc. Talk to Mary.
Good morning, Mary. How are you this morning? And excuse me, how's your yard this morning? Have y'all got any ice left, or is it all gone?
Oh, all the ice is gone. It sort of looks like a tornado came through. It's all the trees that have fallen.
Oh yes, it's terrible. It was truly devastating. A lot of people don't appreciate this. Not just an ice storm. This is a catastrophe.
Yeah, right. And we're hacking on the driveway to get out of the driveway. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
This is sort of a funny question. We planted a cedar tree when we came on this property 30 years ago for a Christmas tree. We dug it up, a little tiny tree, and used it for Christmas and planted it, and it's still growing after all these many years. And it's like, I guess, about 30 feet tall. That's just was estimate.
Yeah.
The night of the ice, there was a huge free explosions near it on the power line.
Yeah.
And it cut the top of it off.
Yeah.
About 10 feet off and threw it on the ground.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
Well, interesting. And I have something similar. My disaster was my cedar disaster of my own making. I planted some cedars in my front garden when I first moved there without looking up, and one of them's all tangled up in the power lines and stuff. So the power company cut the top of mine out. So whether it's power company or the ice storm, the bottom line with cedars, conifer plants like cedars and pines and junipers, if you prune them or they get broken back beyond where they have needles and all, they don't sprout back out. See, so basically you're going to have a bonsai tree, a characterful tree. It's not going to sprout back out is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, the bottom half is full of foliage.
Yeah. What you might want to do is sometime, if you feel like, if you're so inclined, if you go out with a good pruning saw and thin some of the branches, the limbs that are in it, just thin them out to where you don't have as many limbs. So what's left looks sort of like a giant bonsai tree instead of just a big old ball of leaves. But anyway, it's not going to sprout back out like an oak or something like that would.
Yeah, that's no problem.
So what you going to do with the wood? What are you going to do with the wood that fell off?
We're going to say that we're trying to. I'm an artist, and we're trying to think of individual pieces for each of our family.
There you go.
And so that they can hang it on their Christmas tree or something like that.
There you go. Now, see, that's it's making lemonade out of lemons. The reason I'm asking because there's so much tree damage in North Mississippi and in Alabama and Arkansas and especially in Tennessee, so much tree damage that a lot of people are going to have a long time hauling it off. We can't have big burn piles like we used to. But in Europe and in England and Europe, they don't have a place to haul garden debris off to. They don't have a system. They don't have the equipment. So everybody recycles. And what they'll do is they'll take limbs and they'll line their paths with them. Or they'll take stumps and logs and stuff and pile them up, plant ferns around for the wildlife. It's called a stumpery wildlife habitat. So, you can actually use it as part. If more people would do this, it would become normal and nobody would notice. That's just the way you do it instead of dragging stuff to the burn pile or hauling it off. Just, make a stumpery in your garden.
You got it. You got it. And we thought, hand carve a few little pieces.
Yeah.
Of an image or something. We don't know. Haven't quite decided.
Yeah, it's a good thought.
Yeah.
Though.
Okay.
So anyway, you and all the other folks, you don't have to necessarily haul stuff off. You could push it in a long line and just call it a dead hedge, is what they call them in England. Just long line of stuff connecting trees, and they just call it a dead hedge, and it's normal in Europe because that's just the way they do it.
Well, that's sort of what we've been doing with some of the other stuff.
Good.
We got a good bit of other stuff. Yeah. That's sort of what we've been doing.
All righty. Well, good to chat with you.
And I appreciate it. You have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That was Mary from Pontotoc County. Java, I have kind of a c'est la vie attitude. I had this on my office wall when I was with the Extension Service. I got on my wall in my office now. It's the lessons to live by, rules to live by, in order of importance. If you can't fix it, flee it, or fight it, flow with it.
Amen.
You try to fix it. Some things you can't fix. Can't fight it. Just flow with it. Let's go now. Is Jason online? Down on the Gulf Coast, Jason? Man, we're whipping up from top to bottom here. What you got going on?
Hey, Felder, how are you today?
Good, pretty good. My antihistamines make me feel great. I got to grind my teeth.
Oh, my gosh. That's too much. I was just calling just to let your listeners know that, unfortunately, we had to cancel our camellia show this weekend on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Yeah, we had such bad cold weather the last 2 weeks that the camellias are slow to bloom. We really haven't got up the temperatures in time, so we were disappointed about that. It would have been our 72nd annual show in Gulfport, but I do have some good news. We will have another camellia show in Mississippi on March the 7th in Brookhaven.
Okay. That's good. That's good. And a lot of you camellia people, you grow stuff in green, especially in central North Mississippi. They grow in unheated greenhouses, so should have some camellias.
Yeah, well, a lot of people just don't grow protected blooms like they used to. We have about 2 people in there, way up in there. Well, one gentleman that lives down in Jackson County, he's close to 97 years old. He's about the only one left on the Mississippi Gulf Coast that grows camellias in greenhouses.
Yeah, I knew it. Did you ever meet a guy named A.P. Fathery?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew A.P. He was like superintendent of education for the state. But anyway, he grew incredible camellias. But the greenhouse camellias, they're pretty specialty. Pretty special. They use gibberellic acid to make the flowers bigger and all that stuff. So this show is going to be March the, did you say 9th?
Yeah, it's going to be March the 7th. At the Brookhaven building, and it's going to be a wonderful show. That'll be kind of our last, portion of the season, but hopefully we have better weather and have more blooms then.
Okay, I'm making a note of that. March the 7th, right?
Yes, at the Brookhaven building, you can enter blooms from 8 a.m. to 10:30, and our public viewing is 2 to 5. That gives us the midday to judge the blooms.
Gotcha. All right, I got on my calendar, man. If you want to send me some more details about it, I'd be glad to promote it some more.
Sure, I appreciate your time today, Phil.
Yeah, sorry about the show. Hey, let me ask you this: you grow camellia. You grow yours outside, right?
Yeah, I probably have about 300 different varieties of camellia.
Well, I'm wondering, do you grow daffodils also? Or have you found some really good daffodils that grow well on the coast?
I do. Jonquils that are originated from the mountains of Spain do really, really well. The smaller varieties, daffodil, I see them even bloom here at some houses along Highway 90. So I think, those really do well here, paper whites as well.
Paper rice and John. Both of those are early bloomers. They have low chill. They'll bloom early, and more important, Jason, is because they flower early. Their leaves have got more time to mature and fade before people cut them down. The early bloomers, if you cut daffodils down too early, they skip a year blooming. But these early bloomers, nobody gets around to cutting the leaves down. So these are the ones you see around on home sites. But do you know the difference between jonquils and other daffodils? It's a stupid thing.
I'm not.
Okay, this is one of those stupid little things to know. You ready? Mm-hmm. If you look at the leaves, most daffodils have kind of a butternut shaped leaf. It's wide and kind of flat, not real wide, but wide and flat. The ones called Narcissus jonquilla, all the jonquils have got leaves that are shaped like quills. They're little dark round leaves. Ain't that a stupid thing to know, jonquilla?
No, it's a great thing to know. Yes.
I just want to throw that.
I do miss my grandmother. She lived in Simpson County, and she was able to grow so many different varieties. Where me living on the coast now, I do not have that luxury, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, though, there's a lot of plants you can grow on the coast that our other callers from North Mississippi can't grow, and vice versa. So, anyway, sorry about the show. Better next year, eh?
Better next year, because the camellias are resilient. They'll bloom again. So
okay, man. Appreciate your call, Jason. And we'll remind folks about the camellia show in Brookhaven in about a month.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Felder.
All righty. Folks, we got the lines open. If you want to give us a call, it's toll-free, 1-877-MPB-RING. I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing, Java Chapman, and all the other folks at MPB. We appreciate you joining us. I got some stuff to yak about, got some more seeds and stuff, and maybe if you weren't here for the first hour, I might even show off the mold I'm growing on a couple of pieces of bread in a plastic bag. And also, I'm going to show how I root the type of cuttings you make. I brought in some rose cuttings. I'll do that in just a few minutes. But give us a call. Got the lines wide open, folks. Ready to talk with you about what's going on or not in your own garden. We'll be right back with more of the Gestalt Gardener. Meanwhile, here's a little bit of a tune that says, I'm glad to be back home. Java, I'm glad to be back home. And this song says it all. We'll be right back with more here on Gestalt Gardener right after this.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Hatred destroys the one who hates the others that you hated. Go on about their business. Care of us.
So the legacy of Medgar Evers is an understanding of our own humanity and of our own responsibility of seeing that in other people.
He is written out of history. He's just not included as Malcolm and Martin. To me, it's the 3 M's, and Medgar's right up there at the lead.
Everlasting, Life and Legacy of Medgar Evers. Watch now on MPB Passport. Visit mpbonline.org for more.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Been checking on the Mississippi Gardening Facebook page, and we've got quite a few people tuned in, and one in particular was really, really pleased to with us talking about Cecile Wardlaw, talking about the cemetery roses. And I just want to show you this, Java. I brought cuttings from my little green rose. Green rose is not pretty. Matter of fact, if they want to put up that picture of the green rose again, picture number 18. If you put this picture up, it's not a beautiful rose. It looks like it'll fit in the bottom of a teacup. It looks like a zinnia, like a grand zinnia, and it is a good hardy. I've never had any black spot disease on it. It blooms from spring until after a freeze. It's just a terrific old plant, but you can't buy the green rose anywhere. You got to grow it yourself. So, Java, I brought some of these stem cuttings. And it looks like I cut my plant back, but these will because I pruned it, it's going to branch out and have more flowers on more stems. But when I root roses, basically you take something that grew last year, not the old tough stuff down at the bottom, but anything that grew last year. If you'll take the cuttings off of that, I try to root cuttings that are close to a pencil long. It doesn't take much at all. This is just a little thin cutting. And it doesn't matter where you make the cut. And what you do is you stick this in some good dirt. And a lot of times I root things between pansies. I got pansies and violas in a flower bed. You just stick them in the dirt between some really good garden dirt and leave them there till time to replace the pansies. They'll be they will have rooted by then. You can also put them in some potting soil, a pretty good potting soil. But because they dry out real quick, what I do when I root stuff in containers is I take this, I got a plastic water bottle. I cut the bottom of it off, I threw the cap away, and all you do is you put them in pots, just slip it over like an individual greenhouse. And it keeps it nice and humid and warm, but it lets the steam out the top.
Now, my natural thing is I'm smushing the plant.
Nah, they don't care.
Okay.
They don't care. Matter of fact, usually they don't even have leaves on it. This is just one that has the leaves. But, for one stem, I got just one whole stem. You don't even have to have leaves on it. The main thing, if you want to root them, you need to remember which end is up and which end is down. But other than that, some people dip their cuttings in rooting powders. That helps. Not necessary. What you're trying to do is up your percentage it takes. When I'm rooting roses, for every 10 roses that I root, stick out there, I might get 3 or 4 plants.
But that's like you said with Miss Cecile, you told her when you put the water bottles over the top, you may get about 5% more bloom. So it's not necessary for people like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, so if I want 4 roses, I'm going to stick 10 or 12 cuttings in the ground. And if you use rooting powder and all these controlled conditions, you might get 8 out of 10. But I got plenty of roses. I just stick them in the dirt. And if you want to work up a little area in your garden as a rooting thing, you could put daffodils out there. You could plant. But if you have an area where you can plant some pansies or violas every winter, every fall, that's a perfect place. You got the dirt worked up. Perfect place to plant roses. And again, by the time the pansies and violas start burning out, you need to pull them up and start putting summer stuff. Roses are rooted. Now, this is a little oddball thing. We got some callers online, but I want to mention this. When you make a cutting and put it in the ground, it doesn't just root. What happens, Java, is it's slowly sending food down this green stem, and it gets to the bottom, no roots, so it makes a little ball, like a piece of gristle, little white, little chunky gristle thing on the end. It's called callus tissue. Stem cells are turning into callus tissues, and then as soon as they leaf out in the spring, those leaves start sending energy down, and all of a sudden that callus tissue busts out into roots. So it makes callus tissue first, and after they leaf out is when they start growing the roots. So anyway, some people leave them in place for a whole year. Cecile and I, we just dig them up and move them. Anyway, let's go down to Mandeville, Louisiana, on the North Shore and talk with Peg. Peg, good morning. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Felder. I always have something to ask you.
Well,
today, it happens to be about, I have a red buckeye.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing it's an understory plant 20 years ago, I was rescuing it from a lot that was going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And even though it's understory, it's kind of, things have been growing up around it. It never blooms. So does it maybe need more sun because things have grown up around it? Is there anything I can do to make it bloom?
Well, first of all, it does not like a lot of sun. This is a plant that, especially further south you go, it's a woodland plant. Where you see them growing naturally in the woods is all out, literally in the woods as an understory tree. They don't like,
Right.
they don't like, they won't grow down in low swampy areas and need good drainage. But at the same time, if you've got a lot of sandy soil, you might need to mulch it with some real tree leaves to help bulk up the soil, feed the worms and all, so a little bit more organic matter. But no, they need shade. When I plant mine, how old is yours again?
20 years old.
And it's not blooming,
Maybe
not
more.
growing?
No, it had bloomed a little bit once or twice.
Yeah.
But every year the leaves come out and I don't have any blooms. So the leaves are already out.
Yeah. Well, that's a little bit unusual. They usually leaf out. They flower and leaf out about the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You might want to mulch with some regular tree leaves to kind of beef up the roots and maybe give it just a little bit of a natural fertilizer. I'm not opposed to synthetic fertilizers, but natural fertilizers are slow, long, gentle, and they feed the microorganisms in the soil, which convert it into fertilizer. So you're really improving the dirt when you use those kind of things. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, it's such a pretty thing. I'd like to see it bloom again.
And not only just pretty, but this is a plant that when it flowers, starting on the Gulf Coast, moving north, and it segues from our native red buckeyes to the whiter buckeyes further north. Mm-hmm. This is a major source of hummingbird nutrients. They start arriving just about when these buckeyes bloom, and as the buckeyes bloom further north, hummingbirds follow them all the way up into Connecticut and
oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
You know, that's the food that they follow from the coast on up.
Okay, well, we're going to work on this so we can have more hummingbirds.
Well, meanwhile, just get you some bottles and hang on strings from them, and just have something pretty to look at out there.
Well, we've already done that bottle tree thing, and anything I can to put in my garden when there's no color, I do it.
There you go.
I'm not opposed to spray paint. Thanks, Felder.
You bet. Appreciate it.
All right. All righty.
Yeah, I'm going to prune my ornamental grasses sometime in the next couple of 3 or 4 weeks, but I'd spray painted them first. If you got sago palms, by the way, sago palms, they're not really palms, sagos, they really get boogered up bad in a frost, and the older fronds turn brown. If the plant's still alive, and it very well could be, even up in well north of central Mississippi and Alabama, even into lower Arkansas, sagos can grow outside, but the leaves turn brown. You can either cut them off, let the new growth come out the top, or you can leave them alone. Nothing wrong with taupe. Taupe is a color too, or else you can spray paint them. I've seen some spray painted for Mardi Gras colors, but since they're going to be cut off anyway, why not have a little fun with them first? Meanwhile, let's slide over and down just a little bit to Biloxi. Sharon, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
I have a comment about the camellias. I just tuned in a little late a while ago.
Uh-huh.
But so many people do not know there are fragrant camellias available now. I have 4 or 5, and when I mention them to people, they say, "Oh, I didn't know they had a fragrance."
I'd read something about that a couple of years ago. I was surprised to find out about that. Are they a new hybrid type thing or what?
I don't know any details except every one I've bought, I've gone to a nursery and just asked for fragrant camellias, and they all turn out to be beautiful pink colors, and they're in bloom right now. The freeze did not kill the buds. They're blooming right now.
Well, I'm going to look that up. I've just made a note of that. I will have some more information on that next week. I don't know if they're new varieties or if they've been hybridized or something. I read something just a couple of years ago. I said, that's interesting, but I didn't know anything about it. So I'll see what I can find out about them.
Okay, and actually the little vase of the flowers can perfume an entire room in your house.
Okay,
they're
see,
wonderful.
That's something I want. Hey, by the way, did you know that all the tea in China is made from a type of camellia that grows perfectly well in Mississippi?
I didn't know all of them. No.
We have the Camellia japonicas, which bloom in the fall and the winter. I mean, the winter and spring, and we have the Camellia sasanquas that bloom in the fall. Well, this is Camellia sinensis. It's got small flowers, usually white or pink. They're small, but it grows perfectly well. It's not a real showy plant, but all the tea in China is made from that kind of, and you can grow it yourself in your own yard.
That's interesting.
Well,
May I ask you a question right now?
Sure.
Okay, sideways step. I have a part in my yard that has mole crickets, apparently.
Oh, boy, they're hard to control.
Well, that was my question. When do I put poison out?
I don't remember whether spring or fall. There's something. Timing is important on mole crickets. Folks, if you don't know what we're talking about, mole cricket, it is a cricket, but it burrows right. Its 2 front feet are like shovels. And matter of fact, you hold one in your hand, it could dig out between your fingers. It can't sting or bite, but mole crickets are really, really bad about eating grass roots. And not much you can do about that except use pretty powerful insecticides, usually granular stuff because it lasts longer than liquids. And I just don't remember, the timing is important. I can't remember specifically when. While I'm talking with some other folks, I'll look it up real quick. But if you'll check with the Extension Service, and just go to msucares.com and type in mole crickets. I don't remember spring or fall when the young ones are most susceptible to being killed. But it's going to take whatever will kill chinch bugs will kill mole crickets. So if you want to know what to use, look for anything that says chinch bugs, and that'll work on mole crickets.
All right. Thank you so much.
All righty. Look forward to learning about the fragrant camellias.
Okay. Bye-bye.
What's up, Java? Man, mole cricket is a weird-looking critter.
I'm gonna have to look it up because you said they got like shovels on their hands.
Yeah, they're 2 front that look like they got mittens on, and you can put in your hand. They will dig out between your fingers.
Yeah, no, that's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of creepy a little bit.
We take a break or talk to.
It's up to you. We got Chico and
let's talk to Chico.
Okay.
Chico, you got any trees left at all?
I'm cleaning them up right now, and there's some that I wanted to get rid of, and I got rid of, and I'm happy about that. But, man, I had like a cedar that must have been about 100 years old, and it snapped right in the middle.
Yeah. And, I'm
going to harvest that wood, though.
Are you gonna leave part of it standing up, or you take the whole thing down?
No, I'm going to leave what's there.
Yeah, that's where woodpeckers live, and about 5 other type of birds that live in cavities. It's just going to be...
There's so many dogs around here, there's not a lot of birds.
Yeah, well... You could have a characterful tree. How about that? What's up?
I got a question for you about what you think about something. Did I hear y'all talking about a rose called Rambling Rose or Ramble-On Rose or something like that?
Rambler is a type of rose. They're the kind, in the springtime you see these old pink things growing all along the roadsides and fence rows. A Rambler is a type of rose. It's like a vine, but it's real rampant. It spreads like crazy.
Oh, I got you.
But it's a what I call a sprangly or sprawly climbing rose.
Well, it all seems more appropriate now. The Grateful Dead have got a song called "Ramble on Rose."
Okay,
and it's one of their best songs. I love it a lot. I saw them do it live many times, and they've got roses show up in their songs a fair bit. Like. Must Have Been the Roses, and there's Rose in Sugar Magnolia, and there's Rose in St. Stephen, and there's roses in the Grateful Dead's imagery, like on T-shirts and posters and album covers, and they're the quintessential American band. And it made me wonder if you feel like the rose is the quintessential American flower.
Well, except we only have one that's native to America, So it's most of the roses are from Asia. We have one rose, but I would want a quintessential American flower to be something that I'm not Java. Don't want to get weird or anything like that. But American plant needs to be an American plant.
That makes sense.
USA.
Yeah, USA, and that's not being all USA type of thing. It makes sense to choose something. It's just like having a camellia for the state flower in Alabama. They used to have goldenrod, which is native, but they changed it to camellia, and it's a pretty plant. Don't get me wrong, but Mississippi's got a magnolia as their flower. It's a native plant.
Just makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I agree. That makes complete sense. And I'm surprised that the rose is an Asian thing. I always thought of it as English. There's a lot of English culture in America.
Yeah, but one of the reasons why it's England is because they got all the plants out of China and Japan and brought them back to England. And then they came from, then they started swapping plants back and forth. So anyway, they're the ones who brought a lot of the earliest plants out of Asia. So anyway,
well, I learned something today.
I would have figured, Chico, you'd be a deadhead, but I appreciate your call, man.
Hey, Java, I got a suggestion for music of the day. The Jam. It's an English band. Their song "English Rose."
I got you. And Chico, you spurred my mind, so just look for an updated blend playlist coming real soon. Thank you to Chico.
Right on, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
All right, and by the way, I just found out, Java, while Chico was talking, I was paying attention, but I also looked about mold control. As the young ones hatch out in the late winter, spring, so you have better control putting insecticides out in the springtime, April, May, June, sometime in there, because they're not doing as much damage, but they're a lot more sensitive to the insecticides. They do more damage in the fall, but the adults are really hard to kill then. So if you're going to put something in, if you had trouble in the fall, need to treat in the spring. Anyway, let's slide. We got John from Alabama. We need to take a break first or what?
No, let's go ahead and get John, and then we'll take a break.
All right, John, you're on, man. What's up?
Hello, Felder. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
My question's pretty quick. I've got a line of boxwoods down the side of my carport, and they're growing completely out of control, like about 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
I want to cut them way back, and I heard somewhere in the not-too-distant past that freezing weather will drive sap down to toward the roots of shrubs. So, and you could cut them back more severely than you could in normal balmy weather. Is that a thing to do now, or has the freezing weather already passed?
Yeah, well, first of all, the freezing weather doesn't drive sap, up or down. When we have warm weather, moisture's pulled up. But in the wintertime, sap doesn't go up and down is what I'm saying. But here's the deal with boxwoods. They're evergreen plants, and we're not growing for the flowers. You can prune them any time of the year, and they'll sprout back out, but it takes boxwoods longer than other shrubs. It's one of the slowest to sprout back out. And as a matter of fact, if you prune a boxwood hard, people are going to talk about you before they sprout back out. They think you killed it. But it takes, instead of 3 or 4 or 5 weeks for new growth, it might take 6 or 7 weeks for the new growth. Well, you can prune them as hard as you want. You can cut them to a foot tall. You can cut them back a third, a halfway. Wherever you cut them, they're going to branch out right there. So cut them down below where you want them to grow back up. I pruned one of mine in what looked like a little hat rack about knee high, and plenty of little limbs and stuff. And when the new growth came out, I sheared the new growth, just pruned it a little bit to make it branch out. And by the end of that first summer, I had a nice looking little ball again. But prune them below where you want them to grow up to. Expect them to take longer than you are comfortable with to sprout out. When it does, be sure to snip the tips off the new growth so it branches out. And I wouldn't do any pruning on boxwoods past the middle of the summer, because there's not going to be enough time to sprout out and toughen up before winter. I would not prune a boxwood in the fall, because it just gets winter damage. So wintertime, springtime, early summer, perfect for pruning boxwoods. Hard as you want.
Great.
Thank
you very much.
I work with historic gardens, Natchez, Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, all these places, and they've been growing boxwoods for 250 years, and sometimes they just butcher them down to knee high, and people think, oh, you killed our plants, and they sprout back out perfectly well. No problem. Just takes longer.
Okay, thank you for all that information.
Okay. The reason I gave you that information is because your neighbors are going to talk about you. Just want to let you hold your head up. Just hold your head up.
Thank you, then.
Okay, appreciate it. I went rambling there. That's okay. We got a little bit more time. Got time for another call or two. If you want to give us a call, toll free 1-877 MPB ring. I would like to mention that I got somebody from Mississippi Gardening on Facebook wrote in and told me all about the fragrant camellia. Miriam Davy, who I visit her and her husband over in Louisiana. Yes, fragrant camellia. There's one that's named Quintessence. Quintessence. Got it at a garden center in McGee a couple of years ago. So it's evergreen. It's not a Sasanko or a Japonica. It's a hybrid. But the one, the camellia called Quintessence, small pink flowers, really, really fragrant in the evening. And it's a kind of a low creeping type of thing. Anyway, appreciate that. People are paying attention, Java. We'll be right back.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okay, folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. And my want to mention is getting time to think about planting taters and onions. We'll talk about that next week. Meanwhile, we're going to go down to Dauphin Island to talk with Sally. Sally, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine. What's up?
Well, I have this oleander that's growing over my. It's really out of control.
Uh-huh.
It's growing over my porch. And I just wondered if there's a special time when I can trim it back and not hurt it.
That's a good question. It normally grows and blooms year-round in Southern California all year long. So, you can prune it pretty much any time, but they go dormant. They don't go dormant. They get damaged by cold here. So, if you cut it now, it's okay, but it's not going to put out growth till spring. And so, if you don't need to cut on it, there's no problem doing that. But if you wait till close to spring, it'll put out new growth a lot quicker. You won't have a naked bush. I guess you know that the sap is really poisonous, so don't chew your fingernails when you're pruning them.
I always wear gloves. Yeah.
Yeah, but they bloom on new growth, and so if you'll wait till closer to spring, you won't have as much of a dead thing to look at. But if you need to cut some off right now, there's no problem. Just go back and do your final cuts a little bit later.
Okay. Thanks so much. That's all I wanted.
All righty. Appreciate it. So, Dauphin Island, I went down there to see the butterflies. It's sort of the last hopping off place for butterflies in the fall before they start heading out over the along the coast and all. But anyway,
okay, that's pretty cool.
Incredible place. I gave a talk down there. I've got some library talks coming up next month. We're not going to talk much about it just yet, but would like to mention there's some fruit seminars coming up. I'm going to be doing a home fruit seminar in 3 weeks at Hutto's in Jackson. It's my annual thing. Always a big crowd. Have a lot of fun choosing the right kinds, planting them, pruning them, all that kind of stuff. But if you're anywhere near the Jackson area tomorrow, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, Greenwood Cemetery, 1 block north of the state capitol, right downtown Jackson, a block north on West Street, the old historic Greenwood Cemetery. It's going to be a bunch of us. I'm going to be there with Cecile Wardlow and a whole bunch of other posts. A little weeding, not much, not going to be hard. A little pruning. We don't cut these plants real hard like you do hybrid teas. It's just giving a little haircut. And we will show you how to root all the cuttings you want to take. So bring a plastic bag, bring some gloves, bring some pruners, and we'll show you how to prune them. We'll show you how to root them. That's what we do, pruning and rooting. Rooting and pruning. Yep.
That's a T-shirt right there, rooting and pruning.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. And Java, time to start thinking about planting lettuce seeds. So I'm going to be doing that this weekend. A little bit of pruning and rooting. Got to cut on my fig tree in the next couple of weeks.
Speaking of planting some lettuce seeds, I got a real quick question from Carol sent it into the email, and it says, I'm in Pascagoula. We experienced some very cold temperatures last week or the week before. My mustard greens have a little bit of yellow on the edges and a bit limp, but the collards look like they're rebounding. Do you think the mustards are okay?
Hard to say. Mustards, turnips, things like that, they don't like hard freezes. They're not winter plants. Some people plant them, but they're not typically winter plants. They're fall and spring plants. So, a lot of times we lose them from hard freezes. So about all I would recommend, snip off the bad-looking stuff and see if they don't put out some new growth. But a lot of people try to plant all winter long, and it just doesn't always work. So anyway, let's wait and see. So some of my Swiss chard looks pretty bad. I'm just cutting all the old stuff off and letting the new growth come out. So it'll be pretty. When I'm tired of looking at it, I can eat it.
And Lauren, I got your email about your red buckeye, but we'll have to get to that on next week.
That's okay. I'll be here. And folks, if you know some folks who are interested in all this stuff, send them the link to the mpbonline.org or the YouTube Gestalt Gardener so they can watch this on the live stream. Java, man, the antihistamines have got me ripping and roaring. I'll be calm now. My eyes will be more focused next week.
Well, as always, it's always good to have you in the studio.
Thank you, sir. Folks, if you get a chance, go to the garden centers. They're loaded up with stuff. It's not too late to plant winter blooming stuff like pansies and violas and snapdragons. Put them in a pot. It'll give you something to do over the next month when you really shouldn't be doing much else. I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing. If you get a chance, take a kid to a garden center or a neighbor who may not get out of much and show them how to do what we do best, and that's get dirty. See y'all next week.